Hello! So it's been a while since I've made a video about the medications I'm on, and I just thought I'd give a little update on ZOLOFT and XANAX specifically. I think the last time I made a video, I was on 150 milligrams of ZOLOFT, and I was taking 1 milligram as needed with XANAX, just to reduce panic attacks and stuff like that. And a lot has changed since then, so I figured, why not make a video about it? I ended up moving up to 200 milligrams of ZOLOFT. I think the last time I made a video on ZOLOFT, I was at 150. So 200 is usually the highest they'll go when they're prescribing ZOLOFT. And oddly enough, the reason I went up to 200 was because in order for me to take 150 milligrams, I would take a 100 milligram pill, and then I'd take another one and break it in half. And when you break ZOLOFT in half, the tablet's kind of powdery. So it was causing really bad acid reflux, which, if you've ever had it, it's incredibly painful. And we thought it was pretty directly tied to ZOLOFT. So I went up to 200 milligrams. And there really wasn't much of a difference in terms of how it helped with my anxiety. I didn't notice like a big jump from 150 to 200, but the acid reflux did go away, so that was great. And I didn't really get any new side effects, nothing like that. It was a pretty seamless transition into 200 milligrams. And about at the same time, I went through pretty bad experience that left my anxiety just through the roof. So I started taking XANAX daily instead of just as needed, and I would take 1 milligram. I usually took it at night because it helped me sleep. That's usually the time that I get the most anxiety, is at night when I'm trying to fall asleep. So I would take 1 milligram at night every single day. Sometimes I would take half a milligram. I'd just break the tab in half. It just depended on how I was feeling that day. That I did notice a big difference in my overall daily life. When you take XANAX every day, it kind of, I don't want to say it numbs you, but it does kind of. Honestly, that's, at least that's what it did for me. So my memory was pretty bad. I think back now to that time, and it was probably a good 3, 4, 5 months, somewhere in there, that I was taking it daily, and I don't remember much from that time. And like I said, it was due to a bad experience, so it's probably good that I don't remember much, but it really did black out those few months, which is a pretty large portion of your life. But it did help tremendously with my anxiety. It became really hard to sleep if I forgot to take it, or if I just decided not to take it. So I very rarely forgot. I pretty much took that daily. That combined with the 200 milligrams of ZOLOFT seemed to do the trick for me. I didn't have a whole lot of issues with anxiety at the time. But once we hit that 4 or 5 month mark, my doctor and I both decided that it's probably time to cut back a little bit, because like I said, it was affecting my memory quite a bit, and I really didn't want it to become a crutch for me, because what if I ran out? What if I forgot it? What if my doctor stops prescribing it? I don't want that to be my only option to deal with anxiety. So to combat that kind of natural urge to take it, my doctor started prescribing me 20 tablets a month instead of 30. And so I could kind of pick and choose when I took it, when I thought it was most necessary. And she was also very good about letting me decide if I wanted to take a full tab or half a tab, so half a milligram. And that really did help to kind of tell myself, okay, you don't have a full month's supply, so you have to be thoughtful and when you're deciding to take it. And as far as ZOLOFT goes, I know this is kind of a weird timeline, sorry, but I kind of just got to a point where I was sick of being so reliant on Zoloft, and I thought, you know, there's never going to be a good time to start moving down, but I did know that it wasn't something I wanted to be on for my entire life. So one appointment, I just asked my doctor if we could start weaning me off of it, and I was really nervous about it because everything I've heard is that it's a very painful and uncomfortable process to wean yourself off of Zoloft in particular, because your body becomes so accustomed to it. And it was a pretty uncomfortable experience. It was, I went from 200 down to 150. And that, I would say the first couple weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, somewhere in there, was pretty painful. When I say painful, I mean the withdrawal effects of it, which I think I've talked about before, but you just don't feel good. Your stomach hurts, your head hurts, you get brain zaps, which if you don't know what those are, you should look those up. It's pretty fascinating, but they're really uncomfortable, and my anxiety heightened a little bit during those first couple weeks, but nothing outrageous. I could pretty much handle it. I wasn't like panicking every single day. So I did that for 3 months. I did 150 milligrams for 3 months, and then I thought, you know what, that went pretty smoothly. I'll go down again. And I went down to 100 milligrams, which is what I'm currently on. That jump from 150 to 100 was brutal. It was really hard. Not only did I get the physical uncomfortableness from it, but I did notice my anxiety going really, really high. And the way my doctor prescribed it was she still gave me enough if I decided I needed to take 150 or 200 instead of the 100, but I was hell-bent on not slipping up. I saw it as, okay, if you decide to take 150 today instead of 100, then you're never going to go back to 100. So I stuck with 100 milligrams, and yeah, my anxiety went really high, but I kind of saw that as more of like a motivating factor. Like, okay, listen, if you don't want to be on this forever, you need to start lowering your dose and finding ways to deal with anxiety outside of medication. And so I stuck with it. I never went back up to 150. I'm still on 100 milligrams right now. And there are still days, I mean, my anxiety now kind of comes in the form of like horrendously overthinking, to the point where I'll catch myself doing it. I'm like, oh my God, you need to calm down. Overthinking about really, really small things that I normally wouldn't give that much thought to. So that, once you can kind of pinpoint what's happening and what your anxiety looks like, it's easier for you to kind of talk yourself down from that and deal with the coping mechanisms that you learn in therapy or you read about. But in that process of going down to 100 milligrams, I started taking ZANAX XR, or extended release, which is still Xanax, but it lasts a lot longer and it takes a little bit longer to get into your system. And I'm not really sure why we switched, to be honest. We just did. And I was not a fan of Xanax XR because you can't break those tablets in half, because it messes with the distribution of the drug, so it's supposed to slowly release, hence extended release. So if you break it in half, it loses that coating and you don't really know how much you're going to get all at once, so you can't do that. It's also not immediate. It takes about an hour for me to start feeling any effects. So in my opinion, if I'm having a panic attack, it's not going to do me much good because it's not going to work right away. The flip side of that is, since I do use it a lot at night to help with sleeping, that's not that bad because I'm generally not in a state of panic when I take it. I'm just trying to get ready for bed and be able to sleep without anxiety through the night. But with Xanax XR, I did notice more of a, like, if I were to take it one day and then skip the next day and take it another, that day in between I wouldn't be feeling very good. I'd be pretty off. My anxiety would be pretty heightened. I don't know if that's due specifically to Xanax XR or the fact that I was lower, still am lower on Zoloft. I don't really know, but that was something I noticed, was that I didn't have as much freedom with when I decided to take it. But these are all just my experiences, and especially with medication, it's really subjective how it's going to affect any one person, so don't take my word as gospel, because it's going to be different for everybody. This is just what happened with me, and like I've said from the beginning, I think if I had something like this, it would have been really helpful when I first started with medication. And I like to think I'm pretty knowledgeable about it because I have been taking Zoloft for over 4 years, Xanax for probably close to 3 years, and I've played around with dosage, all of that, and I've always had the approach that I want to do as much as I can without medication, but if it's needed, I don't see why I can't use it. I have a hard time with people who say negative things about anxiety medication in particular, because there's really no reason that I should have to struggle so much just to be at, equilibrium where everyone else is. And so if you need medication to help with that, I don't see a problem with that, obviously, because I've been taking it for years. Do I think you should use it as a crutch? No, I don't. And that term, I mean, I don't ever want to feel like the only way I'm gonna stop feeling anxious is if I have a pill, because that in and of itself can kind of cause you anxiety, like knowing that you don't have control over your body's reactions unless you have a pill. I don't like that. So my approach has always been a mix of both. Therapy, how you talk to yourself, doing things that release anxiety, reading a book, watching a movie, exercising, that type of stuff, avoiding caffeine. But I think coupled with medication, I don't see the problem with it, and it has worked for me. But enough of my rant. The point of this is that I did deal with some discomfort in going down in Zoloft. I'm sure there are ways you can kind of combat that as you're going down. I didn't really look into them. I don't think I really prepared myself very well for that, but like I said, I don't know that there's ever going to be a good time to start decreasing your medication, because you're always going to have stress, you're always going to have anxiety. That's just a part of life. So I think as long as you're aware that the process probably isn't going to feel that great, you're probably going to have some days where your anxiety is worse, probably going to have some days where you're physically not feeling great. But I mean, give yourself some leeway. I think, like I've talked about before, this is literally changing your body chemistry. So for you to stop taking it or stop taking a certain amount, you're gonna feel some effects. And it is what it is. That's just how it works. And as far as Xanax goes, I went from taking it very rarely to a huge uptick in how often I took it. And I think in that situation, I don't know that I would have gotten through what I was going through without a little bit of help from medication. It was a really bad situation, and the Xanax helped me kind of just relax from it, not be so uptight and wound up, and namely sleeping, because sleeping is really hard for anyone when you're anxious, because your thoughts go crazy, and then you can't sleep because you're just worried about, big things, small things, everything in between. So the Xanax really helped, but I do look back now and realize that there's a lot of things I don't remember. Just foggy and zombie-like is how I would describe it. Though I think if you have a higher tolerance, that might not be an issue for you. I think like I said, it really depends on you and your body. But slowly going down on regular Xanax was really not a problem for me. Taking half a milligram was a good way to kind of segue into not needing it all the time. And as far as Xanax XR, to be honest, I haven't done a whole lot of research on it other than my own usage. I'm not sure what its exact purpose is compared to regular Xanax. I don't know if it's intended to be taken, say, in the morning and kind of give you that overall calm feeling all throughout the day, or if it is commonly used for sleep. I don't know. I use it for sleep. And one thing you do have to be careful with about it is not to take it too late. So say I want to go to bed at 9 p.m. I'm probably going to take it at 6 p.m. If I were to take it at 9 p.m., first of all, it wouldn't start working right away. Second of all, you're probably going to feel some drowsiness and whatnot from it the next morning because it hasn't left your system yet. Like I said, it lasts a lot longer than regular Xanax, which is like 4 hours. This Xanax XR, I want to say it's around 12 hours. Could be wrong, but it's an extended period of time. So if you were to take it super late and then expect to be, up and going early the next morning, that's probably not going to happen. I did that once and realized quickly that I needed to adjust and take it a little bit earlier. But anyway, there's really no moral to this story that I'm telling. It just kind of felt like I would give an update and answer any questions if you have them. I do want to say I'm not a doctor. I'm in no way trying to give you advice about medication or anxiety or anything like that. This is only my experience and my opinion. So this is not how it is for everyone. It's not what everyone's experience is going to be. This is just mine. And my past videos seem to help. So hopefully this one does too.